Okay, starting this week off with a video a little bit sooner than I expected, but thanks to the mail, things come a little early. So, today I'll show you what I was able to do with the golf cart. I got these handles on here, little grab handles that you can get for, if you Google or if you eBay search like Jeep Wrangler handles, grab handles, they come up with these things, and all they are is, let me try and do this. They're just two fabric straps, in this case top and bottom, and they've got a overmolded plastic handle. I need this focus here, and then it's got, I guess it's a, it feels like a plexiglass like core or whatever, rubber core, so you can't deform this handle. It's a solid grab. And then you use two of those tightening buckles. I don't know what they're called. They're just cheap, but surprisingly, they hold on here really tight. And the reason I have these two on the uprights on the back is when we go up to VIR, you can stand on here facing forward of the golf cart and have those two to hang on. It's better than the roof. If things get a little bumpy, you've got a solid handle to hold on to, not so much the roof, because that you can kind of slip off from this, and it's just a little easier to have something more solid like a handle. So I have these two on the back, and they're removable, but then I used two more up here, and this, you know, there was nothing really wrong with the factory handles. I just wanted some color, and, you know, this is a custom golf cart, might as well go all the way, right? But I cut the two straps off. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I cut the two straps off on this side and on the other side here. Burned the edges so that it wouldn't fray. And then the way that they've sewn this is a square and then an X through it. So all I did was I cut the threads on the side, through the X, and on the other side here. And because it goes up, over, and then around and is sewn together, I was able to slide the bolt right through it. So it goes right through the center of it. So I was able to use the factory bolts here. And they're 1 inch wide straps, which is, they're 1 inch wide straps, which is how wide these handle boxes are. So it fit really nice. And, you know, you don't rack your knuckles up here at all. You know, when you're in the center and you grab this thing, it's still solid. There's no tearing, there's no ripping that I can hear. So, you know, there's something fun that you can do if you have a golf cart and you want to spice it up a little bit. Yeah, get yourself some of these. And they make them different colors, black, red, blue. I think they make them green. And, you know, they also use paracord. I had even contemplated that. You can make your own handles out of paracord. They do the same thing. So there's a fun homemade project that you could look at. And then the other thing, and I forgot to show this last time, was, I already have the light underneath here, I forgot to show you guys, I did some engine work. So I got rid of that big giant air box, and I went with a, yeah, I don't know, you want to call it a short ram air intake, sure, but just a little pod filter, and I'll explain how I did that, and then a oil catch can, since the engine vent case went back up into the airbox. So the airbox was massive. It had a 1 inch square on the side, which let air come in. It had that entire air filter, which it got filtered technically 3 times over to make sure nothing got in there. And then it went down into the engine. So, and I'm not going to be able to show this well, but you have a stack coming up that's made out of plastic that goes to a 3-bolt flange that bolts to the bottom of the airbox. Very carefully, I just cut the flange off at the top, allowing it to have an inch and a half diameter, outside diameter pipe, I guess you could say, that I could then go buy an 1.5 inch diameter pod filter, and it fit right on there. And then the oil catch can, upon taking the vent case off here, goes up into the can and then goes back down on the other side, and your gas tank, the evap system, is actually tied in with the engine crankcase ventilation. So I put that on the I forget the terminology when it comes to this. So you have the engine goes into the can, then it has the return going to the air filter, and that's where I put the evap breather hose between the can and the air filter. That way gas vapors aren't hanging out in this can acting like, I don't know, maybe like a little bomb or something. I don't want that. I want it to go straight. If it's going to have any expansion, I want it to go straight into the air intake. So after it makes it through here, it goes down and then up underneath this, the original air filter. And I wish I could show you guys this better, but it's really crammed in there, and when I have it out, it's even more difficult to explain because then you can't see. If you're interested in doing something like this, I suggest just taking off the air filter yourself. I mean, it's pretty simple. If you're a little bit mechanically inclined, it's pretty simple. And then as far as I mounted this thing, there was this random bracket back here factory wise, and I don't know what it was for. It almost looks like it's a housing for a pull choke, but since it's electronically fuel injected, there is no choke. So there's this bracket hanging out, and I use self-tapping screws to put this L bracket on, and I cut the screws on the back side. This is when the body was off when I painted it, and then I was able to mount up the oil catch can. And part of the reason of me wanting to do this is not only is it fun and it's kind of cool, you got a little bit better performance than that airbox choking out the airflow, but the air filter was expensive. I think I saw them for like 40 bucks, and it just wasn't worth the time. The airbox was clunky. So these little things cost like anywhere from $4 to $7. You can pick them up. But when the engine would slosh back and forth, some of the oil would spray up into the air filter, and it collected in that airbox. And I wasn't a fan of that because it's a electronically fuel injected. If that oil goes down in there, I don't know how well it's going to do at clearing it, or if it's going to gum it up and just create a bigger problem. So that's kind of why I wanted to do an oil catch can, because if we're running around VIR and, you know, going over the grass and the bumps and everything, I just don't want it to bog and suck up oil and then create a bigger problem. So this is preventative, for me, preventative upgrades. Let's just say that. Instead of preventive maintenance, preventative upgrades. So it is a little bit louder. This thing is a bit more throaty without that box acting as a baffle for the noise of it going in, but you notice the thing has a little bit more torque to it because it can breathe better. It can just get its air. It doesn't accelerate faster. It doesn't have a higher top end, but it feels a bit more torquey because it can breathe. So it's a fun little upgrade, a little noticeable difference, you know, not adding extra 100 horsepower to this thing, but they're fun. It's cheap to do, easy to do, and it just clears up the bay really well. And you can actually see how much dust actually sits underneath on top of the engine and between the airbox. So I need to get to cleaning on that. But it also is a lot easier to change your oil. It's a lot easier to change your spark plug. There's more airflow. I mean, it seems like a solid upgrade for me. I don't see why not. But another place where you can have fun with your golf cart, you know, killing some time, just having a good old time with it. But yeah, feel free to comment or message me if you have any questions, and yeah, we'll see where we go from here. Have a good one.